Hi, my name's Grace Bell, and this is my older adult presentation. I chose to focus on stage 6 of Erikson's theory, intimacy versus isolation in young adulthood. My interviewee was my landlord. I live on her property, and she's 67 years old. I chose this quote because I thought that it represented this stage of development for Erikson's theory, and I also thought that it reflected kind of the life path of my client or the interviewee. So most of us will have charted our course and made commitments, usually to relationships, family, and work by our early 30s. So some pretty important life-shaping experiences that Shirley had during this developmental stage were moving from her hometown on the West Coast across the country to Florida Presbyterian College, which was a liberal arts school, also a theological school. There were people from all over the world there, and she studied comparative religions and East Asian studies. And she really said that she chose that because she wanted to learn about other lifestyles and cultures and faiths. And during that time, she ended up becoming a teaching assistant. Um, and she was very influenced by a group of Catholic women who were really activists on the campus, which was difficult because the religion didn't always kind of allow women to have those types of roles. But these group of Catholic women were very much influenced by Paulo Freire's pedagogy and really incorporated critical thinking and activism into their curriculum. And so that style really stuck with Shirley. And so as she was involved with this teaching assistant, she had a lot of frustration with what books were being selected and how the material was being taught. So she wanted to fix it. She really considered herself a fixer and a doer. So she applied for a job as a content specialist and then moved up to unit leader, really having control over the curriculum for that school district. A lot of Shirley's experiences were encouraged by relationships that she had with professors, colleagues, people that she met in these universities. She went to actually quite a few schools, higher education schools during her time. The next being getting her master's at Rutgers in New Jersey in administration supervision. She felt like she had pretty good ways of organizing people and seeing a broader vision, so she went back to school for that. And during that time, a colleague suggested that she apply to a school district in New Jersey, and she ended up becoming the superintendent principal of that school district. And she was the youngest female, that was at age 30, that she got that position. And that really kind of encouraged her to affirmed for her, what she was capable of achieving. She had a pretty rough experience there, though, when she was working with the different subsystems in that school district, and found that the political atmosphere of that and the interpersonal skills, she didn't feel were worth it to keep that job. So she struggled a lot, kind of knowing what her place was after she ended up getting let go from that position. and she decided to go back to school full time and stop working and going to school. During that time, she also um, ended a 7-year relationship that she had, where it was pretty much a relationship based on mutual interest in academia and faith, and um, she ended up meeting her future husband within that short time period, and that they are still together today. Um, so that was a pretty significant experience. And she ended up getting involved with a research policy group during her doctorate studies. And right at the end of her um, um, time frame, biological time frame in this developmental stage, she had a child. Um, so I saw some of the difficult challenges and accomplishments that were related to this stage as being a dichotomy between pursuing education and a career and starting a family. So she, within that, she accomplished a lot in terms of higher education, getting her bachelorette, getting her master's, getting to high leadership positions, um, developing strong female support groups um, that really kind of helped her develop um, her values and that she could rely on for support, and also help develop her interests and um, kind of help her understand who she was and who she wanted to be. Also, in this stage, she found, right at the end of the stage, found a bridge between her work and family life, and was able to kind of meet a goal of hers of having a child. I thought I used a quote here by Rogers about that, saying that people in stage 6 will reach out to find like-minded people to build intimacy. So I thought that Shirley really, uh, that was she did that within the academia. Some challenges that I found were related to feelings of inadequacy, mostly related to her gender, the different, you know, kind of roles that she was wanting, but the reality of her being able to be in those roles was difficult because of sexism in the workplace. And also, um, there was some inadequacy of feeling um, that she hadn't reached her goal of motherhood. Um, I really liked the quote that I found during my research that described crisis in Erikson's theory as a critical period of life being associated with some kind of uncertainty and threat, but that Erikson really didn't see crisis as a negative thing. He saw it as something that a person could really grow and be a point of transformation in their life, and develop their capabilities. Of course, there's the other side of that they might not develop the skills that they need to in that stage of development. But that really it's an opportune time. So some factors and events that facilitated or inhibited the resolution of Shirley's psychosocial crisis in that stage. I really looked at that as that crisis and really being centered around her female role. And as Erikson describes that developmental stage being intimacy, really meaning within a family and kind of traditionally described as a child and with a child, which Shirley did not have until the very end of that stage. So she really put a lot of herself into her work, and her and into achieving her goals, which she very much did achieve her goals of career and family. I think something that contributed to that was her family's value of hard work. Her dad was a dentist, and always really expected their kids to work hard. They had roles in the dental clinic from a very young age that progressed in difficulty as they grew up. So I thought that she learned to have a strong work ethic from that issue, from that kind of factor. She really displayed a lot of strong internal assets of being determined, persistent, resilient in the face of adversity, really believing in her capabilities. Kind of another factor that caused some tension within this struggle between motherhood and career was she self-identified as a late bloomer. And that kind of, when there was that societal expectation of motherhood, but yet she felt more inclined to pursue her career, just created some tension there. So the biopsychosocial factors that contributed to this stage of development were that she was really growing up in a turbulent time in the U.S. There was a lot of questioning of the status quo. She was really in a time where women were still considered to be their primary role to be being wives and mothers. She was told when she went to her first school at the theological school that she was just taking the place of a man. So it became very apparent to her that her gender wasn't as worthy as men, which had a profound impact on her and her desire to achieve high levels of leadership within academia and her career. I think her social class affected her ability to go to school and value education, and kind of the generational differences from her family and to her, and just what women's roles were. I thought that this quote by Erikson, that individuals and their social life are two sides of the same coin, with one unable to exist without the other, shows the importance that having cohesion between a person's internal desires and needs, how important that cohesion is to the life that they live and are impacted by. And also, I thought that speaks then to the next quote that says individuals' ability to cope with adversity also speaks to individuals' ability to cope with developmental tasks. Really, that as conflict occurs within the individual in their social life, those tasks that they overcome really give them the tools that they need to continue into the future. The next, I also looked at the systems involved in Shirley's life that affected her and her kind of pursuits. I saw them as her family, from her parents and siblings, sexism that was occurring within society, and on an interpersonal level. Higher education, she was involved almost the entire time in her young adulthood in higher education. Also, affirmative action had a huge impact on the job opportunities that she had. Um, and also